Yeah, with your audience, that's only 18 quid.
In Torquay, and I was told I could fly down to the area.
You can't fly. These magic beans.
PA had a flight going from Gatwick, where the flight was cancelled. So I went out to the cab ring and I got in a black cab and I said, will you please take me to Torquay? And we were 10 minutes late. No. Yeah, wow. The bill was eye-watering.
Well, that's always the cheapest way to do it, isn't it? A black cab.
To keep people punctual.
Is it impaling people and planting them in their own garden?
It's guilt is the very best thing. So what does not work is finding people for being late. So they did a study, 2 Israeli economists, and they found that punctuality gets worse with a financial penalty. So they had 10 Israeli daycare centres, and some of them, if the parents were late picking up the kids, they just had to make peace with the teacher. Then they changed the system and they brought in a small fine of about £2 as a penalty for lateness. And punctuality immediately got worse. People are happier to pay a small fine than they are to face the guilt.
Because you feel that you've paid your dues.
It doesn't matter, I paid for it.
Well, just up the fine.
Yeah, I think £2, I wouldn't pay £200 to be late.
I think if the daycare centre said if it's 10 minutes late, it's 200 quid, you say, you can keep the kid.
We liked him, we didn't love him.
It's fine. And they're older and can make tea. What do parrots think of the dead parrot sketch?
Oh, actually, I know this one.
Yes.
Is it that they don't think anything because they're not aware of it? What the hell are you on about, Sandy?
I mean, they are intelligent enough to observe things.
You mean they can see? Because I can see and I'm thick as pictures.
There's a teacher writing the school report trying to think of something good.
So they can see more colours than us. So which ones can they see that we can't see?
There's a whole extra range in the ultraviolet range that they can see that we can't see.
Well, if we can't see them, how do we know they exist?
Lots of birds can see ultraviolet, and they can see animals' urine on the ground, and that's how they know there's a burrow.
That's very good.
When they're swooping around and looking for prey, they think, oh, look, they're over there. Because there are lots of those small rodents in contact. This is all God's will, right? I'm going to set this up. That one can see we, that one keeps pissing.
When you see one, I'm terrified, I'm going to wet myself. But can you tell us this absolute crazy fact then? Because I'm really going to pull you up on it, whatever you say.
Puerto Rican parrots, I'm being very specific, are an endangered species, and what the authorities want to do is they want to raise some in captivity and then release them into the wild. Here is the problem. They are not aware of predators, so they have to be trained to watch out for predators, otherwise they will simply be released into the wild and captured immediately by something that wants to kill it.
Like John Cleese?
Probably more like a hawk. So what they do is they have a program of training them to be aware of predators. So they might fly a hawk-shaped cutout over the aviary, they might play hawk calls, they might allow a live hawk to attack the cage. The final stage, they stage a parrot murder scene and then make the trainee parrots watch.
This is a Pixar movie, isn't it?
So they get another parrot and it faces another parrot who's wearing a small leather vest.
What are you talking about? You've lost your mind!
There's a straight parrot and a gay parrot.
Yes.
Sandy, can I ask you a question? When you were painting and decorating in that blouse today, did you inhale it? Freddie Mercury parrot.
Yes, you've got one in the leather jacket
in the leather
and the
one
trainee parrot, so I'm going to call it.
This is a waistcoat
flak jacket,
Sure,
really.
yeah.
Okay, so the hawk is released to attack the parrot in the flak jacket.
And he's been told just attack the one in the flak jacket. Don't go near the other one.
No, the louder one is being protected, it's just watching. And the one that's attacked, obviously, it has a bad time, it screams, but it's protected by the clothing, so it doesn't die. And the trainee parrot learns to be wary of hawks in the future. And it absolutely seems to be working.
I mean, what?
I mean, it sounds to me that evolution's trying to get rid of these little buggers anyway.
Awful. It does sound awful, isn't it? Right, you put up with so much punishment, it's time for a prize. Which of these would you prefer to win? The Aussie non-drunk driver cup, the Valdez skiing cow, solving the merchant skeleton die conjecture, or the oldest mouse award?
I'd like to win the oldest mouse award.
Oldest mouse award. This is it's worth actually quite a lot of money. There's a thing called the Methuselah Foundation, and they're a scientific body. They are working on extending the healthy life of all of us and fighting aging, and they're offering prize money if you can make the oldest mouse. So the current record is 5 years. Average mouse lives to be 3 years old. So 5 years in human terms, 150 to 180 years old. And then there's another prize if you can rejuvenate a middle-aged mouse. They are offering a prize of $1.4 million to break the record for the world's oldest mouse.
What proof do they need? Because that's an interesting amount of money.
I'm not afraid that's an interesting amount of money. Is that what you say to your agent?
Yeah.
That is of interest to me. That's talk you say.
How much is this cat? Right, I've got an old mouse, I'll pay with that.
The fact is we are genetically very similar to mice.
Why are you looking at me now?
I wasn't looking directly at you, I was ignoring Jimmy. We're genetically very similar. So in terms of extended lifespans, it's hoped that successful work on mice can then eventually be applied to humans. And the current prize pot stands at $4.5 million. And the overall winner will receive a chunk of the money for each week that the mouse survives after breaking the old record and setting a new one.
So what you really want is a little tiny mouse life support machine.
Tiny clear, gadoosh, like a tiny defibrillator.
Two wires and
You
an
get a
AA
straw.
battery. So let's look at the other prizes. There was the Aussie non-drunk driver cup, the Valdez skiing cow, solving the birch skeleton tile.
Is that the maths thing that you get paid a fortune if you solve some impossible math? Is that the best one?
Yeah,
I think Rachel Riley had a crack at it. She only had 30 seconds.
It's the same mathematics institute. Now, basically, there are 7 math problems that called the Millennium Problems, and you get $1 million if you can solve any one of them.
Shall we have a go?
Yeah, if you've solved it, you get $1 million.
Is it 8?
Let's have a look at the other two: the Valdez skiing cow or the Aussie.
Now they put a cow on skis, right, and chuck it down the mountain. It rings its bell like mad, but no one will help it.
So it is the traditional prize in the World Cup downhill. And in 2005, the Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn, there she is, she won the cow. Now, what usually happens
You win
is-
the cow.
You win the cow. So what usually happens is the person goes, I don't really want a cow, and they go, we thought you might not, here's $5,000 instead. Lindsay, however, wanted to keep the actual cow, and everybody was very annoyed because it was worth $20,000. And it was pregnant, so she was basically getting 2 cows for one. She named it Olympe, and it now lives on a farm in Cuthberg. It has had other cows, it has even had grand cows, and she's named them all after members of her family. She is the only person who has kept her cow prize.
Surely people will now keep them, now they know they're worth so
I
much.
think it's a wonderful, I'd love to have a cow. I think it's great. You get $1 million if you can solve any one of them.
Shall we have a go?
Yeah, if you've solved it, you get $1 million straight.
Is it 8?
Let's have a look at the other two: the Valdez skiing cow or the Aussie.
Now they put a cow on skis, right, and chuck it down the mountain. It rings its bell like mad, but no one will help it.
So it is the traditional prize in the World Cup downhill. And in 2005, the Olympic skier Lindsay Vonn, there she is, she won the cow. Now, what usually happens
You win the
is-
cow?
You win the cow. So what usually happens is the person goes, I don't really want a cow, and they go, we thought you might not, here's $5,000 instead. Lindsay, however, wanted to keep the actual cow, and everybody was very annoyed because it was worth $20,000. And it was pregnant, so she's basically getting 2 cows for one. She named it Olympe, and it now lives on a farm in Katberg. It has had other cows, it has even had grand cows, and she's named them all after members of her family. She is the only person who has kept her cow prize.
Surely people will now keep them, now they know they're worth so much.
I think it's a wonderful, I'd love to have a cow. I think it's a great idea.
You have to win the competition.
Yeah. What about the Aussie non-drunk driver cup?
Has nobody